Welcome back. This is Buddhist Books Podcast, episode 247, Tipiṭaka, part 163, in which we will continue reading Mahāvagga V. This is Mahāvagga V, part 2, on the middle of the fourth book of the Tipiṭaka, still in the Vinaya Piṭaka, the discipline basket, the rules and such. If you would like to start at the beginning of the Tipiṭaka, you can click right there. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. Sometimes I do a little bit of intro at the beginning, but not today. All I will say is that if you would like to know more about this podcast, rather than hear the reading for today, then you can click this, and that's the introduction. Picking up right where we left off last time. Now at that time, the group of six monks, wore sandals that were entirely dark green, 3 dots, that were entirely dark yellow, 3 dots, that were entirely red, that were entirely yellow, not dark yellow, 3 dots that were entirely red, 3 dots that were entirely crimson, 3 dots that were entirely black, 3 dots that were entirely orange, 3 dots that were entirely multicolored. Now, if you're confused, this is the way that the Pali Text Society one way that they abridge things. So in other words, this whole section is copy-pasted, 6 times. And the only difference between, these 6 different things is the color of the sandals they wore. So in each of these cases, the same thing happens, but the sandals are different colors at different times. If you remember last time, in Mahāvagga V, Part 1, the rule was established that monks, and presumably nuns, should be allowed to wear sandals. Now that I think about it, I don't know if the nuns were allowed to wear sandals. I was just assuming. But anyway, at that time anyway. People looked down upon, criticized, spread it about, saying, quote, like householders who enjoy the pleasures of the senses, end quote. They told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, monks, sandals that are entirely dark green are not to be worn. 3 dots. Sandals that are dyed entirely multicolored are not to be worn. Whoever should wear, parentheses, any of these, end parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing, end quote. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks wore sandals with dark green straps, 3 dots, with yellow straps, 3 dots, with red straps, 3 dots, with crimson straps, 3 dots, with black straps, 3 dots, with dyed orange straps, 3 dots, with dyed multicolored straps. People, 3 dots, spread it about, saying, quote, like householders who enjoy the pleasures of the senses, end quote. They told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, monks, sandals with dark green straps, 3 dots, sandals with dyed multicolored straps are not to be worn. Whoever should wear, parentheses, any of these, end parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing, end quote. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks wore sandals with heel coverings, 3 dots, heels, sandals that were knee boots. Knee boots, eh? Ngakpa sandal covers the whole foot as far as the knee, so it's a boot, right? Okay. 3 dots, sandals that were boot tops. 3 dots, sandals that were filled with cotton. 3 dots, sandals of, parentheses, many hues, like, end parentheses, partridge's wings. 3 dots, sandals pointed with ram's horns. 3 dots, Sandals pointed with goat's horns, three dots. Sandals, parentheses, ornamented, end parentheses, with scorpions' tails. Three dots. Sandals sewn round with peacock's tail feathers, three dots. Embroidered sandals. People looked down upon, criticized. Spread it about, saying, quote, like householders who enjoy pleasures of the senses. End quote. They told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, monks, sandals with heel coverings should not be worn. Three dots. Embroidered sandals should not be worn. Whoever should wear, parentheses, any of these, end parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing. End quote. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks wore sandals decorated with lion skins, three dots, with tiger skins, three dots, with panther skins, three dots, with black antelope skins, three dots, with otter skins, three dots, with cat skins. Guys, some of you are cats. Actually, all of you are cats. For you on the audio only, it's Heathcliff and the gang from the 80s. Never mind. Three dots with squirrel skins, three dots with owl skins, one dot. It's the full stop. With owl skins. That's the end of the sentence. People, three dots, spread it about, saying, quote, like householders who enjoy pleasures of the senses. End quote. They told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, monks, sandals decorated with lion skins, three dots, with owl skins are not to be worn. Whoever should wear, parentheses, any of these, end parentheses, there is an offensive wrongdoing. End quote. Then the Lord, having dressed in the morning, taking his bowl and robe, entered Rajagaha for alms food, with a certain monk as his attendant. Then that monk went limping along behind the Lord. A certain lay follower, having put on sandals with many linings, saw the Lord coming from afar. Seeing him, having taken off his sandals, he approached the Lord. I think I see where this is going, but we'll read it. Having greeted the Lord, he approached that monk. Having greeted that monk, he spoke thus, quote, why, honored sir, does the master limp? End quote. Quote, my feet are split, sir. End quote. Quote, see, honored sir, here are sandals. End quote. Quote, no, sir, sandals with many linings are objected to by the Lord. End quote. Quote, take these sandals, monk. End quote. Then the Lord, in this connection, having given reasoned talk, addressed the monks, saying, quote, I allow you, monks, sandals with many linings that have been cast off. Monks, new sandals with many linings are not to be worn. Whoever should wear, parentheses, these, end parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing, end quote. Okay, so pre-owned, many layered sandals are okay. Now at that time the Lord was pacing up and down without sandals in the open. Monks who were elders, thinking, quote, the teacher is pacing up and down without sandals, end quote, also paced up and down without sandals. The group of 6 monks, while the teacher was pacing up and down without sandals, and while the monks who were elders were pacing up and down without sandals, paced up and down with sandals on. Those who were modest monks, 3 dots, spread it about, saying, quote, how can this group of 6 monks, while the teacher is pacing up and down without sandals, and while monks who are elders are pacing up and down without sandals, pace up and down with sandals on, end quote. Then these monks told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, is it true? As is said, monks. that the group of 6 monks, while the teacher, 3 dots, with sandals on, end quote. Quote, it is true, Lord, end quote. The awakened one, the Lord, rebuked them, saying, how, monks, can these foolish men, while the teacher was pacing up and down without sandals, and while monks who are elders were pacing up and down without sandals, pace up and down with sandals on? For monks, even these white-frocked householders, on account of procuring a craft for their livelihood, will be respectful, deferential, courteous towards their teachers. Herein, monks, let your light shine forth, so that you who have gone forth in this Dhamma and discipline, which are well taught, may be respectful, deferential, courteous toward teachers, grades of teachers, preceptors, grades of preceptors. It is not, monks, for pleasing those who are not, parentheses, yet, end parentheses, pleased, 3 dots, end quote. And having rebuked them, having given reason to talk, he addressed the monks, saying, quote, monks, you should not pace up and down with sandals on, while teachers, grades of teachers, preceptors, grades of preceptors are pacing up and down without sandals. Whoever should, parentheses, so, end parentheses, pace up and down, there is an offense of wrongdoing, and, monks, you should not wear sandals within a monastery. Wow. That rule still is upheld today, right? Whoever should wear them, parentheses, there, end parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing, end quote. All right. A few things that come to mind. Sometimes I share my thoughts on this program. It's not just an audiobook. It's interesting to learn about the rules as they were established over 2,000 years ago for the original Sangha. We presume this is the closest we have to records of that. It's interesting, and I have nothing but respect for people who enter into monasteries to live as monks in community with other monks, or nuns in community with other nuns. But honestly, reading this is kind of making me happy that I am not living in a monastery. Because if I want to wear sandals while I pace up and down, nobody tells me not to. Thank goodness, right? I don't wear sandals inside the house here, but, we keep the floors clean. Yeah, I don't know. I guess nothing really worth stopping and saying. Just that generally the people in the background, I think really ought to mind their own business. Like if somebody wants to leave everything behind, it's sort of like, it reminds me, for those who watch Rick and Morty, perhaps it's an odd thing to bring up here, but it's the idea of the citadel of Ricks. Ricks hate the government so much that they went and created a government of themselves. So it kind of makes me think of that. If somebody is going to leave everything behind, and leave caste behind, leave family behind, or maybe they didn't create a family, families that wife and children. They're going to leave the mundane world behind, the secular world behind, and just focus on meditation and sitting under a tree. It's one of those things where I guess if they need a lot of structure to help them stay on the path, then it's good that there are groups, cults, whatever you want to call them, like this, that can provide that for them. But personally, just my personal taste is I would find that just as annoying, or perhaps more annoying than living in the secular world, to have to live with a lot of rules and all that. Of course, Lord Buddha was there as the teacher, so it's all about the teacher and how great the teachings are and everything. So I'm trying to express myself honestly and at the same time be respectful, which is a difficult balancing act at times. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm going to keep reading now. Now at that time, a certain monk came to have an affliction of corns on his feet. Now that I'm alone, because everybody has clicked away, because who wants to hear about this? Now I can relax. Nobody's there to judge me, because nobody's watching. No, I can guarantee everybody's clicked away by now. 100%. I'll check the analytics later. It'll literally be at 0% by the time it gets to this point in the video. Except for you, obviously. You're the only person in the whole world. Having taken hold of that monk, they made him go out to relieve himself. Oh, so he has corns on his feet, and now he's going out to relieve himself. Does that mean... never mind, I'll just keep reading. As the Lord was touring the lodgings, he saw those monks who, having taken hold of that monk, were making him go out to relieve himself. How embarrassing for them. Seeing, parentheses, this, and parentheses, he approached those monks. Having approached, he spoke thus to those monks, quote, "What, monks, is this monk's disease?" End quote. Quote, "Lord, this venerable one has an affliction of corns on the feet, and having taken hold of him, we are making him go out to relieve himself." End quote. Then the Lord, in this connection, having given reasoned talk, addressed the monks, saying, quote, "I allow monks whose feet are painful, or he whose feet are split, or he who has an affliction of corns on the feet, to wear sandals." End quote. Within the monastery as well. Okay, yeah, cool. Now at that time, monks got up onto couches and chairs with unwashed feet, and robes and lodgings were soiled. They told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, "I allow you monks, when you think, quote, within quotes, I will get up now onto a couch or a chair and, quote, within quotes, to wear sandals." End quote. Now at that time, monks, going to an observance hut and to a meeting place at night, in the dark trod upon stumps of trees and on thorns, and their feet became painful. They told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, "I allow you, monks, to use sandals within a monastery, a torch, a light, a staff." End quote. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks, getting up in the night towards dawn, having put on wooden shoes, paced up and down in the open air, talking in high, loud, rasping tones, a variety of worldly talk. That is to say, talk of kings, talk of thieves, talk of great ministers, talk of armies, talk of dangers, talk of battles, talk of food, talk of drink, talk of clothes, talk of beds, talk of garlands, talk of scents, talk of relations, talk of vehicles, talk of villages, talk of little towns, talk of towns, talk of the country, talk of women, talk of heroes, talk of streets, talk of wells, talk of those departed before, talk of diversity, speculation about the world, speculation about the sea, talk on becoming and not becoming thus or thus. And they both killed insects, having trodden on them, and also made monks fall away from contemplation. Those who were modest monks looked down upon, criticized, spread it about, saying, quote, how can this group of 6 monks, getting up in the night towards dawn, having put on wooden shoes, pace up and down in the open air, talking in high, loud, rasping tones, a variety of worldly talk. 3 dots. Oh, the Pali Text Society is denying us the pleasure of reading all the examples of the worldly talks that they were talking. Again. Thank you, Pali Text Society, in this case. Sometimes I don't like it. Sometimes it's okay. And both kill insects, having trodden on them, and also make monks fall away from contemplation. End quote. Then these monks told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, "Is it true, as is said, monks, that the group of 6 monks, getting up in the night towards dawn, 3 dots, and made monks fall away from contemplation?" End quote. Quote, "It is true, Lord." End quote. Having rebuked them, having given reasoned talk, he addressed the monks, saying, quote, "Monks, wooden shoes are not to be worn. Whoever should wear, parentheses, them, end parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing." End quote. Then the Lord, having stayed at Rajagaha for as long as he found suiting, set out on tour for Benares. In due course, walking on tour, he arrived at Benares. The Lord stayed near Benares at Isipatana in the deer park. Now, at that time, the group of 6 monks, thinking, quote, "Wooden shoes are objected to by the Lord," end quote, having had young palmyra palms cut, wore shoes of palmyra palm leaves. Those young palmyra palms which were cut withered. People, 3 dots, spread it about, saying, quote, "How can these recluses, sons of the Sakyans, having had young palmyra palms cut, wear shoes of palmyra palm leaves? These young palmyra palms which were cut are withering. These recluses, sons of the Sakyans, are harming life that is one facultied." End quote. Monks heard these people, who looked down upon, criticized, spread it about. Then these monks told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, "Is it true, as is said, monks, that the group of 6 monks, having had young palmyra palms cut, wore shoes of palmyra palm leaves, and that those young palmyra palms which were cut are withering?" End quote. Quote, "It is true, Lord." End quote. The awakened one, the Lord, rebuked them, saying, quote, "How, monks, can these foolish men, having had young palmyra palms cut, wear shoes of palmyra palm leaves, parentheses, so that, end parentheses, the young palmyra palms wither? For, monks, people think that there are living things in a tree. It is not, monks, for pleasing those who are not, parentheses, yet, end parentheses, pleased, 3 dots, end quote. And having rebuked them, having given reasoned talk, he addressed the monks, saying, quote, "Monks, you should not wear shoes of palmyra palm leaves. Whoever should wear, parentheses, them, end parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing." End quote. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks, thinking, quote, "Shoes of palmyra palm leaves are objected to by the Lord," end quote, having had young bamboos cut, wore shoes of bamboo leaves. Those young bamboos that were cut withered. 3 dots, it's all the same as it was when it was the palmyra palm leaves, says the Pali Text Society. Quote, 3 dots, "Monks, you should not wear shoes of bamboo leaves. Whoever should wear, parentheses, them, end parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing." End quote. I seem to have misplaced my bookmark. There it is. And that's where we're going to close today. All right. We'll pick up where we left off next time. So, it seems that Mahāvagga V, so far, is about footwear. And all the rules around footwear. And I mean, it makes sense. When to wear it, when not to wear it, what type of footwear to use, especially in the context of ahimsa, nonviolence towards all forms of life, as well as in the context of living in a community, which, I mean, upon thinking about it, I'm coming from a place of privilege when I say I don't want anybody telling me when I can and can't wear sandals. But if I were to go out into the woods, to literally leave it all behind, to literally close my bank account and give away all my material things and go hardcore on the path that these monks are on, I would probably die in the woods, if I didn't find the company of a community of monks like the Lord Buddha has provided for these people. And so, given that, these things come up, and you have to deal with it. You have to kind of explain, okay, what is and is not appropriate behavior when it's all about silent meditation and you're stomping around in the monastery grounds and making sound with wooden shoes and talking loudly about things that nobody wants to hear about, then gotta make a rule about that. So that's how it is. Interesting stuff. Perhaps not, the highest level of, and perhaps you're not walking away like I watched a video on a channel called Buddhist Books Podcast, and now I am enlightened because of the information that I received. But this is more of a fill in the gaps, filling in the foundational information about historical Buddhism and what have you. It's something that I felt called to do, and I still feel that it is a good calling to share this information, especially with people who might not have ever learned it or thought to be interested in it. So, there it is. We'll pick up where we left off today in the next video, or the next audio for those on the audio only. This is an audio only podcast as well. And, okay, there's nothing left for me to say. I'm just babbling at this point. So, hope everybody's doing well. I'll go ahead and do the closing. You hear the crickets? To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below, we send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Until next time.